Picture yourself on a routine flight from Japan to South Korea. The sun setting on the horizon. The year is 1970, and you're aboard Japan Flight 351. But little do you know that your journey is about to take an unexpected and life-altering turn. Hey there, welcome to Fact Dose, where we're dedicated to unlocking the wonders of the world one dose at a time. Today, we're embarking on a gripping journey into the past, exploring an unforgettable and harrowing event in aviation history. Join us as we delve into the captivating story of Japan Flight 351's hijacking, a true testament to the resilience of the human spirit. In 1966, there was a revival of the new left student group called the Communist League, which had been dormant since 1960. They got a new name, the Second Bund. Now, within this Second Bund, there was a radical faction known as the Kansai faction. These guys were based at Doshisha University in Kyoto and were led by a philosophy major dropout named Takayashi Omi. They were already pretty far left, but they wanted to take things up a notch. Around June 1968, this Kansai faction decided to rebrand themselves as the Red Army faction. Their grand plan was to kick off a violent uprising in Japan, and they originally aimed to time it with the 1970 Anpo protests. Their big idea was that if they could pull off a successful armed revolution in Japan, it would spark a worldwide rebellion against the United States and its buddies. They believed the Red Army faction would be the big shots leading this global revolution. But here's the catch. The rest of the Second Bund wasn't too thrilled with this whole "let's start a revolution right now" idea. So, in 1969, the Red Army faction made it clear they were done with their parent organization. On September 5, they went public at Hibiya Public Hall in Tokyo. Takaya and his crew officially declared their independence from the Communist League and announced they were ready to kickstart an armed revolution, no more waiting around. It was a radical move, to say the least. So in early 1970, Shiomi had this audacious plan called Operation Phoenix. He wanted to hijack a Japanese airplane, and this was his master plan to get the Red Army faction members to Cuba for some revolutionary training. But just when they were gearing up for the hijacking, fate threw a curveball. Shiomi got arrested by sheer chance on the streets of Komago, Tokyo, all because he was mistaken for a common thief. Talk about bad luck. However, the rest of the gang didn't back down. On March 31, 1970, 9 members of the Red Army faction armed themselves with katana swords and a homemade bomb. They went ahead and hijacked Japan Airlines Flight 351, a domestic Boeing 727 flying out of Tokyo International Airport. There were 129 other people on that flight, and things were about to get seriously intense. So, picture this. About 20 minutes into the flight, a guy named Takamaru Tamiya decides to stir things up. He leaps out of his seat, unsheathes a katana sword, and yells, "We are Ashita Nojo." He's all about hijacking the plane, and he orders the other hijackers to get their weapons ready. The hijackers meant business. They took 129 people, including 122 passengers and 7 crew members, hostage. They forced the pilots to change course for Havana, Cuba, where they hoped to get some training from communist military groups. Here's the twist. The Boeing 727 they were on couldn't make that long-haul journey because it couldn't carry enough fuel. So the hijackers switched up the plan. They wanted to refuel in Fukuoka and then head to Pyongyang, North Korea. At Fukuoka, the police convinced the hijackers to release 23 hostages. The pilots got a map of the Korean peninsula with a note that told them to tune into a specific radio frequency. Sneaky move. The air traffic controllers were in on it and tried to direct the plane to land in Seoul, South Korea, pretending it was North Korea. But the hijackers figured out the trick quickly. Japan's Vice Minister for Transport, Shinjiro Yamamura, offered to take the place of the remaining hostages, and the hijackers agreed. They finally landed in Pyongyang at Mirim Airport, where they surrendered to North Korean authorities, who offered them asylum. Their grand plan was to use North Korea as a home base and spark rebellion in South Korea and other parts of East Asia. It was quite the wild ride, but it all ended with their surrender, and a plane carrying Vice Minister Yamamura and the crew was back at Haneda Airport 2 days later. Now, let's talk about what happened to the key players after the hijacking. The alleged mastermind, Takashi Omi, was tried, convicted, and spent almost 2 decades behind bars in Japan. When he got out in 1989, he wasn't in the best of health. He ended up working a low-paying job as an attendant at a parking facility in Kiyos, Tokyo, and he stuck with it until at least 2008. That's quite a turn of events. Moriaki Wakabayashi, another member, was known for his role in the hijacking and later became a bass player in the avant-garde rock band Les Realises de Nudes. He called the hijacking a selfish and conceited act in a 2010 interview. He wanted to return to Japan and face trial, but was still living in North Korea as of 2014. Yasuhiro Shibata returned to Japan secretly in 1985 to raise funds for the group, got caught, and landed a 5-year prison sentence. Yoshimi Tanaka was arrested in Thailand with counterfeit money, brought back to Japan in 2000, and passed away before finishing his sentence. The fate of the other hijackers varies. Some are still at large, according to Japan's National Police Agency. As for Takahiro Konishi, Shiro Akagi, Kimihiro Omoto, and Moriaki Wakabayashi, they were still in North Korea as of 2004 and even requested to return to Japan, willing to face punishment for their role in the hijacking. Quite the tangled web of fates as we conclude this remarkable journey through history. Remember that life is full of unexpected twists and turns. If you enjoyed this remarkable tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Fact Dose for more intriguing facts from around the world. Thank you for joining us today. And remember, there's a world full of incredible stories waiting to be discovered. Until next time, this is Fact Dose, signing off.